He's done some things, proposed some things that are popular. That executive order to expand oil and gas production, the executive order recognizing two sexes. And also, when you look at immigration, there's all sorts of different ways to ask about it. But the CBS poll here had asked the general Trump administration program to deport immigrants who are here illegally. You see broad support there when it's asked at the broad level like that.
In the ReliefFactor.com studios, here's Mike. Mike Gallagher.
I love these memes on social media that say how it starts or how it started and how it finished. Last night, I see Axios, which is an Inside the Beltway publication. I read it every day. Mike Allen, I mean, he's a journalist. These are left-leaning folks. But as I looked in the evening, Axios, one big thing. GOP shaky on big vote. This is last night now. How it started. House Speaker Mike Johnson is once again grappling with right-wing defectors ahead of a key budget vote. Several GOP lawmakers said they remain opposed to the opposition. But that was yesterday. That's how it started, right? Here's how it finished. Axios was forced to report this morning. Mike Johnson escapes stalemate with stunning 13-minute reversal. With the help of President Trump, Speaker Johnson muscled a budget package through the House, a win he claimed will give him momentum to pass Trump's full America First agenda, not just parts of it. This is so big. Here's what Axios says, and I love that they got to lick their wounds. They have to admit, well, yeah, we blew it. We were rooting against America. We were rooting against MAGA. We were rooting against Trump. We were rooting against Mike Johnson. And now they've got to go back and say, Mike Johnson produces stunning victory. Johnson's dream of one big, beautiful bill will live another day. But so will the reality of his razor-thin House GOP majority. That's all they can count on. All they can count on are defector Republicans who don't want to play ball. They want to caucus with the Democrats. Listen to Jasmine Crockett. This woman is the gift that keeps on giving. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett confidently predicted that the budget bill would fail thanks to squishy Republicans who are going to line up with Democrats. We have to bleep this because she's such trash. She can't talk to reporters without dropping the F-bomb left and right. There's a congresswoman, U.S. congresswoman from Dallas, Texas, confidently announcing that this budget bill will not pass, that MAGA is going down, that Trump's going to lose. I give you the real Rhodes Scholar of the Congress. She's right up there with Hank Johnson. And incidentally, that doozy. We got a new clip from Congressman Hank Johnson, the pride and joy of Georgia. Oh boy. Here's Jasmine Crockett yesterday.
So long as we stand strong and not one Democrat falters, let me tell you, there are going to be Republicans that don't want to vote for this, and they can't lose more than one vote. So long as we stand together and so long as we're here, and the Republicans, they're dysfunctional. They can't get this done by themselves.
Oh, really? How dysfunctional are the Republicans? Sorry, lady, you lose. The Republicans were unified, except for Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie's the rogue. He goes rogue again, the guy from Kentucky. And I like the guy. He stands on principle every time. I'm not going to condemn Thomas Massie, except for the fact that he doesn't appreciate the value of Republicans being unified. Because we'll win the agenda policy, the policies, as long as we're unified. But okay, Thomas Massie voted no. Everybody else voted yes. Rand Paul, all the other malcontents, they were right there, and we win. Hank Johnson. I got to give you the latest Hank Johnson. Again, some of these folks in Congress are gifts that keep on giving. Hank Johnson, well, this is the clip from this week, Christian. And do you guys have it? We got to go to the archives, too. Eric, pull the one out of the archives. Because I want to share with you how smart Hank Johnson is. Can you imagine sitting next to this guy? He's dumber than a box of rocks.
My fear is
No, not that one. The one from this week.
If a president willfully failed or refused to comply with a court ruling, they could be held in contempt of court theoretically, but it would be up to the U.S. Marshals Service, which is a part of the Justice Department, to be the enforcement arm for the federal courts. Is that correct?
So he wants the marshals to arrest Donald Trump. Now, listen to how bad he is. This is the guy who once thought Guam could tip over because it was an island. Listen to this.
My fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
We don't anticipate that.
Now, that was the best part of that clip was the Admiral in stunned silence and then saying, we don't anticipate that because islands don't float, you big dummy. I got to get this off my chest. I've got to play President Trump with his about the email to federal workers. Chris mentioned it earlier, how insane it is that any employee would say, I'm offended, harassed, bullied, and insulted by my employer telling me to send them an email back. What did I do last week? I got to play President Trump talking about Musk's email to federal workers. This is cut one. Here's President Trump dealing with this insane pushback from these entitled, and I'm going to use it, I'm going to say it, brats in the federal workforce who are upset that they have to have some accountability for their job.
We have this massive government with millions of people, and nobody knows who's working for the government, who's not. So what they're doing is they're sending out a letter to everybody, and they're saying, what were the things you did last week? I guess they ask for 5. And if people are working, it's easy. I could tell you 5 things I did last week. I could tell you 5 things I did 6 weeks ago, right? If they're there and they're working, they're able to say they did 5 things during work. And that means they're working and they're with us and they have no further obligation. If they're not, it could be there's no such person. It could be that the person's no longer working. They're no longer living at that address. They may be moved. Maybe they moved to a different country, or maybe the person doesn't exist. And we then take that person off the payroll, and we save a lot of money by doing that. But that's one of the only ways. I think it's a very smart thing. And it says, if you don't answer, essentially, there's a penalty to pay. Like, that's the end of the job.
That's President Trump with a very common sense reaction to the insanity, the absolute insanity. We're at a point now where nothing makes sense it's upside down world. It really is.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.